Hello, Leo. Welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. Now, I feel like I'm talking really funny. I actually just, my ear got all plugged up, so I feel like I'm just a little off balance here. I think everything is fine as far as how I sound, hopefully. If not, I apologize. We're going to try to get through it. Maybe some of the yapping will clear that ear way out. My sinus is out. Anyways, Leo, welcome. I said that already, but welcome. And today we have the Princess of Discs. One of my favorite cards, right? The Queen of Discs, obviously. Probably my favorite. But yeah, that Four of Discs, that's my number one. The Princess of Discs is such an interesting and lovely energy. She is, well, if you can see in the picture here, she is pregnant. She is pregnant with life, okay? This is like the ground that has a seed that has been planted, and it is popped. The sprout is starting to push through the seed shell and coming up through the ground, and it will emerge soon, right? And if you're somebody who has ever been around someone who is pregnant, especially in the later months of pregnancy, or if you maybe are somebody who has been pregnant yourself, you'll know that there's this phenomenon. And it's called nesting, right? And I remember when I first got pregnant, I was, I had no idea. It was such a mystery to me about kids and babies and childbirth and pregnancy and all of it. So I was doing a lot of research. And I remember reading about nesting. And what is that? That's when you start to collect all of the things that you need for the baby. It's kind of like this natural thing that kicks in. You start rearranging your spaces to kind of suit those early months of childhood, right? Babyhood and motherhood and fatherhood and being there as a family. You know, the space has to change to some degree, right? And so it is this instinctual place that we find ourselves. And I I myself thought, no way. I'm sure that's kind of like a, I don't know, to get people to buy more stuff or whatever, but it is. I mean, it really does hit. You start to get into that mode of, I got to start getting ready. Excuse me. And so, whenever I see the Princess card, this is the energy that I'm feeling. This is when you have already started the thing, whatever it is, the relationship, the new path in life, the self-work, whatever you're working on. It's like you've planted the seed, and now you're really making sure that all of the variables are in favor of this thing really being able to not only grow, but flourish. Okay, so let's keep that energy in mind, Leo, and we're going to spin this thing. Okay, and we'll lift it up. All right, let's see here, Leo. And I want to thank you so much for spending some of your most valuable time with me. It really means so much. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Maybe this is your first tea leaf reading. I hope that you find it interesting and entertaining and maybe, of some assistance. Okay, So I want to start up here because this really, it feels like this is where things they're still intact, right? So Leo, this is going to be about relationships. Now, not just romantic, but I feel like there is definitely a sense of having lost faith in love. And it could be that this is like love in general, family love, love of friends, you know, your passions, your hobbies, these kinds of love that like span all corners of our life. But also romantic. I mean, it could be that this is romantic as well. But it feels like something had transpired or something is in the midst of happening that you've lost your luster for it. You know, it almost feels like it has been painful to even think about like opening your heart up to allow anybody in. I don't think this is just like a new partner or you know, maybe trying to mend a relationship that had been failing, but I feel like it's just, there's a sense of not trusting most people, okay? Now, I want to start up here. We have the heart right here, okay? We also have a person standing here, and here's their head. There's a little heart here, and then there's a person here, but look, a lot of them is missing. We have the head, and we have like the feet down here, and maybe like the bottom of like a dress or a skirt or, you know, maybe a pants or whatever, some kind of clothing. But the whole middle is missing. Now we also have a child over here. So to me, I feel like this feels like the people that maybe raised you. Maybe role models in your life, your family members, your aunts, uncles, grandparents, and you're looking at the dynamic in their relationships, and I feel like there's almost this constant thing going on in these relationships that you're seeing, and it is that oftentimes one or the other partner is basically emotionally unavailable. They're, you know, completely like in their own world. You know, they're part of the family, but they're kind of absent as well, right? Now, I would say stereotypically, we like to place this on the dad. Oftentimes, at least, you know, in generations before my own, the father was the provider, or at least this was, you know, the thing that they conditioned deeply into us, right? The father was the provider, and he was often out of the house from a lot of the waking hours of the day because he was working. And when he comes home, he likes to, you know, go watch TV, don't bother dad, you know, this whole narrative that like kind of, you know, the real like kind of Al Bundy stereotype. But this isn't always the case, right? Sometimes we have mothers who are also unavailable, who, you know, don't engage emotionally, who maybe, you know, maybe they're out working, maybe they're keeping themselves busy with a million different things. So many different reasons why this could happen: addiction, mental health, trauma. Maybe they're just a person that's super introverted, living in their own headspace, in their interior landscapes. Whatever it is, I feel like this was deeply ingrained in you. Okay? This kind of unbalanced relationship dynamic. Now, let me just also say, relationships don't always stay the same. If somebody maybe was the absent parent or spouse or, you know, family member, for one period of time, that doesn't mean that it's always like that. And it doesn't mean the person who is in there doing the primary parenting or, really trying to carry the relationship, it doesn't mean that they're always in that position either. So it's not like a forever, ever, this is the rule of the thing. But I do think that this really stands out in your psyche. And I think it really affected your relationships going forward, right? If that is that you feel like, somewhat comfortable just checking out sometimes and doing your own thing, or if it's like, you're constantly worried about the relationship because, you saw people living this way and saw how difficult that could be, how unhappy it could make people, and you've tried to kind of overcompensate in different ways, being very involved in relationships, maybe even to the point where, you might even kind of consider it a little codependent, which, listen, I absolutely get that. I very much am on the line sometimes of codependency. I want to be with my partner all the time. If you know who my husband is over at Dove and Serpent Tarot, his name is Paul. If you know who he is, you know that we're married, we have a business together, we work together, we do everything with our daughter, and we're just very involved. But finding the happy balance, that's not always easy, right? Sometimes you slip into that, almost kind of neediness. It feels like you can't be alone, right? And so I understand that. I also understand the other side. I'm very solitary as well. So sometimes I just, I could go a few years being by myself. But I feel like and it maybe is that you vacillate as well. You go between these kind of two extremes, depending on the relationship and the dynamic of the relationship as it is, in that moment. Now, I want to turn this. We have a scorpion right up here, okay? We have a scorpion. We have, really, I just get the feeling of an utter heartache. Betrayal. An ultimate kind of betrayal. Now, if this is from a relationship, if this is like, some kind of thing that happened, like you found something out that your parent did that you just can't forgive, sometimes this stuff kind of comes up and you just, you don't know how to even begin to process the thing. I feel like there really is this, it's like a fracture that happened, it was something that probably took you by surprise, because it feels very jolting, but it was almost like a clean break, because you just cannot get your head around the thing and you can't get past the thing. And it may be one day, right? Maybe one day you will, but this is something that almost feels unforgivable, and really something that I feel like you never expected to have to deal with this person. And so I feel you kind of going through a period of time where now we have the sacred mountain down here, the holy mountain, and we have the person standing over here. Look at this, with the head and their bodies right here, their arm is out, there's a fire right here kind of burning. And I feel that there was this shift in you, this kind of, separation from at least that person, but more than that, it feels like you had to kind of reassess your life and refocus your priorities, to really go over things and think, how is this going to, add to my life? How is this going to help me on the path that I'm on, that I want to succeed at, right? I want to succeed at my goals along this journey that I'm on. And having these kinds of relationships that prove to be devastating, right? I feel like you went through a period of time, and maybe you're in it right now, where you reject any kind of closeness to anybody. And I see you really making space within self to not only love, heal, be there for yourself, but I see you really making a connection with the divine, with the universe. And this is where it's interesting, because we all kind of cringe when we pull that Tower card, when we pull that Death card, when that Hanged Man shows up, right? We think, oh gosh, here we go. And yet, it is an opportunity. I've been through a couple of periods of my life where basically everything, I lost everything, or I gave up everything, is, so between the two things somewhere. And it was terrible, heartbreaking. But it also was the thing that had to happen to clear my life out of all of this junk that I was carrying along with me. And it gave me space to sit there with myself, to climb that mountain. Like, you lost your shoes, you're bloodied, you're aching, and yet you just keep pushing on because there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do. And I won't sit here and romanticize suffering, but sometimes we find ourselves in these ordeals. And what are we going to do with that? Are we going to squander the lesson? Are we going to squander the blessing in our trouble? No. No, we're not going to waste our blood, sweat, and tears, are we? No. And so we rise from it a little bit wiser, maybe a few more wrinkles, gray hairs, but we keep on. And I feel you. I feel you getting to that point. You are on the precipice of walking into the next room. And to me, that feels like connection. And maybe we begin with plants and animals and, the things that we can understand. Because other people, that's a doozy trying to figure them out. But your dog, the birds, those pretty flowers that you planted out by the backyard tree, those you can understand. And sometimes that's where we need to be. We need to commune with things that go a little slower. They're a little more predictable. And hopefully they won't break our heart, right? And I see you here. Look at this. Standing here. Head, body, arms out. And I see like a bird bath maybe. We have a bird flying off here. We have a bird eating over here. We have the illuminated candle right here. What this tells me is there's clarity. You've had a little bit of a revelation through this trouble that you have been feeling, going through. And look at this, and look at this, and look at this. Ah, you can't escape the love. You're a lover, Leo. My Venus is in Leo. And so, you know that love is most important to me. Most definitely. We have a lot of love here. And I see you dreaming. You've had a night visitor. And some probably kind of, you're not having like night terrors, but I feel like you're restless, moving around a lot in your dreams. Volcanoes, that's what I'm seeing, 2 of them. I see a bed right here. And so that tells me, yes, there's this kind of almost volatile feeling. But worry not. Our dream space is a wonderful place to work things out. If you're not somebody that employs active imagination or, these kinds of, kind of role-playing things out in your mind. We also have the letter C, which has been repeated. The letter C. All right, now we're going to do our lucky numbers. Number 77. 77. Ooh. Number 30. Number 30. Number 75. All right. The 70s are big. Big, big, big today. Okay, and we have the Indigo Sage affirmation cards. And I'm just going to go ahead. Oops. Flip. There we go. Oh, I got it. And it says, look at that. Number 7. Number 7. Individuate with love. Contemplate how it might be to live as a divine true self beyond the known. Oof, like a little light body out there, huh? I like it. Okay, wow. Leo, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you because I do. And I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you'd like to leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. All right, I'm going to go see if I can unclog my ear with some steam because my goodness, I feel like I'm echoing in my head. I don't know. It's weird. It's very clogged. All right, Leo, I love you. I love you. I love you. Take care of yourself. We'll talk soon. Good night.